I believe it has been a week since I've been to my local CEX, and that means there's got to have been some new stuff in. Somebody DM'd me saying, how is it that I go into CEX Stafford and there's always new stuff? And I think there isn't always new stuff, it's just that I specifically try to not show the same stuff every time. I know it seems like I show the same stuff every time to you guys, because you guys get the 3-minute version, which is a bit longer winded. But over on TikTok, where it's the 1-minute version, I can sort of split it up, and then stagger the uploads, and things don't necessarily always upload in linear order. So for example, I don't know when this video will go up. I think this video will go up on like the 8th of June, something like that, and I'm recording it on the 28th of May. So there's that. Also, something else somebody always asks me about in relation to showing the same stuff every time I go to CEX. Let me just flip you around a sec. Somebody says, why don't I buy that rare Godzilla that I always see at Stafford? And it's because I already have mine. I got it from when it was about £10 cheaper too. Actually, no, I'm telling a lie. This was one of the ones that I got on eBay and then went to Stafford to get a sticker for better content over on TikTok. And not only do I already have the PS3 version of that, I already also do have, somewhere in here, the PS4 version too, which I do believe has come down quite a bit in price. I think it's actually $185 now, and I think I've seen it more expensive than this as well. I think I have seen it at $240. And yeah, one of the other rarer games in my collection that I see semi-commonly at the moment, but it's still not supposed to be a common game, but I'm happy I've got the version I have of it, is the God of War Volume 2 collection. I see this quite frequently recently amongst like the rarer PS3 games that I do see. Like if I see a rare PS3 game, there's a good chance that it's going to be this one. Do you know what I mean? Versus, say, Painkiller that I ran across the other day. The problem is that whenever I do see this, it is quite often the PlayStation Essentials version, the PlayStation Hits version, with the red spine. And I'm really glad that mine isn't the red spine, because otherwise it wouldn't fit in. Speaking of which, these are back to front. Let's fix that. There we go. But I think the God of War Collection Volume 2 is £70 or so. It could have been getting a bit higher. And then another rare game that I keep seeing all the bloody time that took me forever to get when I was searching for it is the Sly Trilogy for the Classics HD PS3 version. That has been in my local CEX for bloody ages too. And yet here we are. And then what else? Stafford have got a Haze. Now, Haze is a game, I don't know if you got, anybody that's been following me for a while has probably heard me talk about my Haze curse, but Haze is a game that I played a decent amount when I was a kid. It was one of the first few games I played on PS3, but I never beat it. And one of the things that I enjoy doing these days is going back through games that I never played or that I never beat as a kid and beating them now, even if they're bad. So an example would be earlier this year I played through the Cayle and Lynch games. But Haze, you'll notice I've got several copies of, and the reason for that is because every time I do play it, for some reason it doesn't work. I'm losing track of which ones are the known working copies and which ones are not. They're all from CEX, they're only £1. It's an incredibly cheap game, so half the time if I do discover it doesn't work, I can never actually be bothered to action the return, because it's £1, But at some point I might just keep taking the mick and continue getting more. I think Stafford has one, maybe I'll pick it up if I go and get that. What else has been an interesting topic? Somebody asked me about Japanese games the other day. I have a couple. Primarily just this one is the only one with a Japanese spine. It's the PS3 physical release of Resident Evil 4 and Code Veronica. It's a bit of a thing that I'm a real big fan of Resident Evil 4. I enjoy collecting all the different versions of Resident Evil 4. I have pretty much all of them except for the chainsaw controller, because I don't think I've got space for that sort of thing. But I got that because it's the Japanese version, and they didn't release a physical version of it over here in England. So, one of them. What was the other Japanese version, the Japanese game I've got? I don't think it's technically Japanese, the version I've got, but the Japanese version was way more common. It's the Mega Man Battle Network collection. Where's M? It'll be around here somewhere. See, this is the good thing about this being alphabetized. So yeah, good thing is that modern consoles, they do not believe are region locked, so while this is still sealed, should I wish to play it, I can just put it in. At some point, one of the biggest hunts, and this is probably literally going to take me years and years and years to achieve, I would love to hunt down boxed versions of all of the Mega Man Battle Network games. I loved the Battle Network games when I was a kid. Specifically 3. And then I think back in 2022 I played through all of them back to back to back to back, and it took me about 2 months, and it was a long stretch, but it was a fun stretch. And then shortly after that they released the Legacy Collection. I was like, oh, right. And of course, I didn't have physical copies of those Mega Man games when I played through them, so, you know, there's that. Hello, Ruby. You going for a wee-wee? Sunbathing? Can't sunbathe. I've got to go out. What are you doing? Ruby was naughty the other day, weren't you, Rubes? And she did a poo on the kitchen floor because of the rain, because she didn't want to go outside. Because she's a sausage dog and stubborn, and that's how they all work. I see TikToks saying things about sausage dogs, and I'm like, yeah, that's Ruby. That's Ruby in a nutshell. Little saucy pops. Little saucy pops. Hello. Hello. Big stretchies. You're so long. But then I see other sausage dogs in person, and they don't look as long as you. Or they look way bigger than you. I see sausage dogs, I'm like, that's an easy 10 kilo dog. Ruby's 3.5 kilos. She's a baby. A silly baby. Look at her. Bless you. Bless you twice. Hello. You gonna bite me? Didn't think so. Can I have a paw? You're just gonna lick my hand now, aren't you? No, she's rolling over into my hand. Obligatory Ruby segment in every video I ever make. Because some people love the dog. You're a good girl. You tired? Good, because you can have a nap for the next hour while I'm out. Right. Where are you off to? I didn't mean a nap right now. I tell you what, the Amazon delivery drivers around here don't have to take the mick. I've seen it before on my Ring cameras where they'll literally basically lob it at the door from 6 foot away, knock a door and run. It's mad. I'm looking around now all the different front doors that I can see, and so many of them have got Amazon parcels just outside the front door. I've half a mind to buy something something really expensive that I want, and then when inevitably the delivery driver leaves it on the front door, I'll just report it as lost. Because it's their fault, isn't it? Because it could be. You couldn't, for example, where I lived with my mom, you couldn't have done that there. And they didn't do that there because they knew they couldn't have got away with that there. If you'd have left something on the front door of any of the council houses around there, nope, gone. Immediately. Just without a doubt. Even in the days of Ring cameras. But, yeah. Anyway, let's head off into town. Feel like it has been a while. Actually, could be a problem. It's been raining pretty heavily. And I don't know if Lake Stafford will have returned. You know, how the car park I like to park at often floods. We're going to find out. See you there. Well, update. The car park is not underwater. And I've just seen on Instagram an update from a new gym opening in Stafford that is opening in the middle of town. Interesting. Into CEX we go. Starting off today's view of Stafford CEX with some pretty interesting looking Zelda Game Boy Color game. I've never heard of that Zelda game, nor have I ever been a Zelda guy. I own Breath of the Wild. I played it for not very long. Zelda's never really been my thing. Much of Nintendo kind of hasn't been. I was more of a Sega kid, and by Sega kid I do mean just Sonic. It was always Sonic over Mario. I distinctly remember playing, I think, Sonic Advance on my Game Boy when I was a kid. Something like that. Way more than Mario, anyway. This Godzilla. Good lord, can somebody please buy that Godzilla? If you guys are sick and tired of... I know that TikTok is sick and tired of seeing that Godzilla, but you guys must be sick and tired of seeing that Godzilla. It has been there for months. Somebody please tell me how Kuon, right? There was a boxed Kuon that came into Stafford CEX, and it was gone within about a weekend. And I intended to milk that for as many views as I possibly could. The most expensive PS2 game that I basically built a bloody career on last year. Also, check this out with the front cover. Somebody's going to want that. Somebody go to Stafford and get that. I'm sure somebody needs it out there. Somebody could have sold that on eBay for more. But what was I saying? Yeah, Kuon, one of the rarest games on PlayStation 2, comes into Stafford CEX, and it's there for a couple of days. I remember when I bought mine from Leicester, they were like, I can't believe somebody's actually bought this. It's been here for like generations of CEX staff. Like, the guy who trained the guy who trained the guy that trained that guy, the one that trained him, was like, it's been 40 years and no one... I didn't think anyone would ever buy it. And Kuon in Stafford, gone in a weekend. I still refuse to believe that was a coincidence in terms of that being sold. Ooh, interesting. Looking back at this footage, I see 3 different PlayStation 2 Tomb Raiders in my eyesight right there. I might buy those. They might look cool on the shelf. Yeah. If they're still there the next time I go to Stafford CEX, I don't know when that's going to be. I think I might get those. Then we're looking at PlayStation 3. Quite a lot of Borderlands. I'm on the lookout right now for different versions of Borderlands because I love Borderlands. And the specific versions of it that I want, they're not versions that I would play, but they are versions of it that I would want. You can always tell when I've actually spotted something in these videos that I'm specifically looking at or looking for, because I will hover for way longer. Like just then, I didn't move or zoom in on anything, so I must have been looking actually, because it's a bit of a trick, right? Is a lot of the times that people record stuff like this, we're looking through the camera lens rather than using like our eyes to look at the actual shelves. But if you see me doing what I did just now, that's how you know I was looking with my eyes and not the camera. Like when I do that, when I look zoom in on Vanquish, definitely looking through the camera lens there. But like otherwise, yeah, no. Just having a scan. Lot of front-facing PS4 stuff at the minute, which means I think the stock is running a little bit low. But Stafford CEX is usually pretty good. But couldn't somebody get that Godzilla out of Stafford CEX so that I don't have to keep talking about it? Moderately successful CX haul. I picked up one game, and it's a game that I've previously owned and traded in back on Xbox. But it's changed a lot since I first bought it and first played through it, so I do want to try again at some point. I'll show you that when we get in. And also, I don't think I managed to catch it on camera, but I did spot, once I turned the camera off and started doing the TikTok versions, a steelbook version of Call of Duty World at War for PlayStation 3, which is something that I want to get, because I don't own that. And I do have a lot of the other steelbook for Call of Duty. But on PlayStation 3 specifically, they are starting to categorize them differently and thus price them differently. World at War is like £2.50 or something like that, just generally. But the Steelbook version is £22. £22 for a Steelbook version of a Call of Duty game is crazy. Especially when it's nearly 20 years old. Although, to be fair, nearly 20 years old is old enough that it does start getting expensive. But you know what I mean. It's a Call of Duty game. They're not that uncommon. But maybe the Steelbook is. I might have a look on eBay, see what the general price is, because that seems excessive, 22. And even if it wasn't excessive, that one in particular wasn't in very good condition. There's something about the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era steelbooks where they just are more often than not wrecked. I don't understand how people are wrecking their steelbooks like this, because just don't get them wet and they should be fine. Don't leave them in the sun and don't get them wet and your games live. This is a low bar. This is like when I'm moaning about the cinema and like the bar is really low there. It's shut up and watch the film. Don't be on your phone. Simple. No phone, no talk. Perfect. You know? Been a while since I've been to the cinema, I feel. There's just not... There was like loads on for a little bit. And then now not a lot. Yeah. What are we going to see next? Karate Kid Legends on Sunday. Really looking forward to that because that is a film that is very nostalgic to me. I was a karate kid growing up. I did karate for like 7 years. I still got my license from like 2004 in my drawer upstairs. And I loved the films. And then I saw the 2010 reboot thing with my nan in the cinema, and that might have been one of the first films I ever saw in the cinema. I don't know what the first film was, but it was up there. So like, even though that is traditionally not seen as a very good one, I still like it. So I'm still going to go and see Karate Kid Legends in the cinema, and it'll make me think of me nan. So yeah. But anyway, let's go home. I need to eat some food. It's nearly dinner time. And dinner time for Ruby Roo as well. And then I'll show you the game that I bought, one singular game today. And it was a stretch. I was like, I don't like leaving with nothing, you know. So, let's go. Especially because it's going to take ages to get back because of the bloody roadworks. That was an understatement about the traffic, by the way. I hate Stafford. The roadworks are ridiculous. It just took me 25 minutes for a single stretch of road. Like, one actual single stretch. That took so much longer than it should have done. Ruby, it's ridiculous. What's going on here? What the hell's going on? Hey? Well, some of you are going to have vertigo. Anyway, the game that I got today from CEX was Dying Light 2. A game that the developers have changed over and over and over again ever since release in attempts to get people to like it. And I can appreciate it when developers put that much effort in. I played it through when it first came out, and I played it through like a year later after that. So I have played it a fair bit, but I think all of the major changes to how everything actually feels and flows happened after that. So, Dying Light 2. And to be fair, I needed it on PlayStation 5 rather than Xbox. Anyway, Ruby, you must need a wee-wee. Come on. Let's go. God, my back is killing me. Hello? Hello. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's rather small CEX haul, but it was interesting to have a browse. They had some new stuff. They did have some cool stuff. That Zelda Game Boy Color game, I imagine that's pretty rare, especially with the original cardboard, because that is definitely the original cardboard looking at it. And the Steelbook World at War, which a bit too expensive for me to pick up that exact one, but would have been cool. Would have been very cool. Enjoyed.